They did not just take Daniel's wife from him. They dressed her in gold, sat her under bright lights, played music for her, and called it a wedding in the same neighborhood where Daniel had begged God every night for his family to survive. Clara stood beside another man in a shining white gown, smiling like her old life had died and she was finally free. The man beside her was Richard, a rich businessman with a proud face, heavy gold watch, and the kind of smile poor people feared because it never looked kind. Daniel was not given a seat. He stood at the edge of the compound in his faded shirt and worn-out sandals, holding the hand of his little son, Samuel. The boy was only 6 years old, too young to understand why his mother was wearing wedding clothes for another man while his father was still alive. Music played, women danced, men laughed. Clara's friends sprayed money in the air as if they were burying Daniel's shame under naira notes. Then Samuel pulled his hand away from Daniel and ran toward Clara. "Mommy!" he cried. Everybody turned. For one short second, the music seemed to lose its power. Samuel ran with tears on his face. He believed his mother would bend down and hold him. He believed she would say, "My son, come here." He believed what every child believes before the world teaches him pain. But Clara looked at him like he was dirt on her wedding dress. Samuel stretched his small hands toward her. Clara stepped back. Then she pushed him away. Not hard enough to throw him to the ground, but hard enough to break something inside him forever. "Don't touch me," she said. "I don't want to be dragged down by a poor man's child." That was the day Samuel stopped crying like a child. He just stood there. His lips shook. His eyes stayed fixed on Clara. And Daniel knew, right there, that his son had seen something no child should ever see. If you are new here, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and watch to the very end, because this story will break your heart and then show you the kind of revenge that does not need shouting. Comment where you are listening from right now and tell me what you would have done if you were Daniel that day. But listen carefully. That wedding was not where it started. It started months before, with a small thing Daniel kept ignoring because love can make a person blind. Clara had started cleaning her slippers before Daniel came home. At first, Daniel thought nothing of it. Maybe she just wanted to look neat. Maybe she was tired of the dust in their small room. Maybe she was only trying to respect herself because life had already given them too much hardship. But then he noticed it again. Every evening, before sunset, Clara would sit by the door of their one-room apartment in Agege and wipe the same pair of fine slippers again and again. Those slippers were not new, but she cleaned them like someone preparing to meet important people. Daniel would come home with sweat on his neck and dust on his trousers. He carried cement, he carried rice, he carried cartons. Any work that gave daily pay, Daniel did it. His hands were rough, but his heart was soft. "Clara," he would say, forcing a tired smile. "I brought bread." She would not look at his face. She would look at his hands first, then his clothes, then the bread. After that, she would say, "Put it there," just like that. No welcome, no smile. "No, Daniel, you tried." The first time Daniel told himself maybe she was tired. Samuel was small and playful. The room was hot. Food was costly. Rent was near. A woman could be quiet when life pressed her too hard. So Daniel ignored it. But the strange thing kept happening. The second time was on a Sunday morning. Daniel wore his cleanest shirt to church. It was a blue shirt Clara used to like when their love was still fresh. The collar had faded, and one sleeve had a small tear, but Daniel had washed it carefully. He had even used the bottom of a hot pot to press it because their iron had stopped working. As they walked down the street, Clara moved ahead of him, not too far, just far enough for people not to think they came together. Daniel noticed. Samuel noticed too. "Daddy," Samuel asked, holding Daniel's fingers, "why is mommy walking fast?" Daniel smiled, but the smile hurt. "Maybe mommy wants to reach church early," he said. Clara turned back when she heard him. Her eyes warned Daniel to keep quiet. That look was not just anger, it was shame. Daniel felt it in his chest. Clara was ashamed of his shirt, ashamed of his sandals, ashamed of the man who had skipped meals so she and Samuel could eat. Still, Daniel told himself, maybe it was nothing. A poor man always gives excuses for the people he loves. He will blame hunger. He will blame stress. He will blame the heat. He will blame himself before he admits that someone's heart has changed. Then the third time came. It was evening. Rain had just stopped. Water was still dripping from the zinc roof. Samuel was sitting on the floor, pushing a bottle cover like a toy car. Daniel was fixing the handle of their old cooking pot. Clara sat by the window, pressing her phone. She smiled. Daniel saw it clearly. It was not the small, tired smile she gave him when he tried to joke. It was a soft smile. A woman's smile. The kind she used to give Daniel before hardship entered their marriage and sat between them like an unwanted visitor. Daniel looked at her. "Who are you chatting with?" he asked gently. Clara's fingers moved fast. She locked the phone. "Nobody," she said. Daniel laughed a little, trying to make the room light. "Nobody is making you smile like that?" Clara's face changed. "Daniel, must you ask me everything?" The room became quiet. Even Samuel stopped playing for a moment and looked at them. Daniel wanted to speak, but he swallowed it. He did not want to fight in front of the boy. He did not want Samuel to grow up hearing his parents tear each other apart with words. So Daniel bent his head and continued fixing the pot. But his hands were shaking. That night, Clara slept with her phone under her pillow. Daniel saw it. He said nothing. The next day, she did it again. And the next day, and the next, the phone was always close. If she was cooking, it was beside the stove. If she was bathing somewhere, it was on the bucket. If she was sleeping, it was under her pillow. If Daniel entered the room suddenly, she would turn the screen face down. Daniel told himself maybe it was normal, but his spirit did not believe him anymore. One night, he woke up because Samuel kicked him in his sleep. The room was dark. The fan was not working because there was no light. Mosquitoes sang near his ear. Daniel turned to cover Samuel properly. That was when he noticed Clara was not on the mattress. The door was slightly open. Daniel rose slowly. He walked to the door and looked outside. Clara was standing near the back of the compound, phone pressed to her ear, voice low. Daniel could not hear everything, but he heard enough. She said, "I am tired of this poor life. I cannot continue like this forever." Daniel's chest tightened. He held the door frame. For a moment, he wanted to step out and ask Clara, "Who are you talking to? What do you mean by you cannot continue?" But fear held him back. Not fear of Clara, fear of the answer. Because sometimes the thing that destroys a man is not what he suspects. It is when he finally confirms it. Clara turned suddenly and saw him standing there. For 1 second, fear flashed across her face. Then she covered it with anger. "Why are you watching me?" she asked. Daniel's voice was low. "Who were you talking to?" "A friend." "What friend calls you by this time?" Clara pushed past him and entered the room. "Daniel, please. I am tired." That was all she said. No explanation. No comfort. No apology. She lay down and turned her back to him. Daniel stood there in the dark, feeling like a stranger in his own marriage. From that night, he started watching more closely. Not because he wanted to catch Clara doing wrong. Daniel still loved her. He wanted to save what was left. He wanted to know where the crack had started before the whole wall fell. But the more he watched, the more his heart sank. Clara no longer called him my husband. She called him Daniel, coldly, like his name had become a burden in her mouth. She stopped eating with him. If Daniel bought rice, she said she was not hungry. If he bought beans, she said she was tired of poor people's food. If Samuel ran to her with dirty hands, she pulled away and said, "Go and meet your father. Go and meet your father." Those words sounded small, but each time Clara said them, Daniel saw Samuel shrink a little. One afternoon, Daniel came home earlier than usual. Work had ended quickly because rain chased customers away from the market. He bought Samuel a small plastic car from a roadside seller. It was cheap, but Daniel knew Samuel would treat it like treasure. When Daniel opened the door, he froze. Clara stood before their cracked mirror wearing a bright red dress he had never seen before. It was smooth. It was expensive. Around her neck was a shining necklace. Daniel knew immediately that no money from their room had bought those things. For a moment, he forgot his worry and spoke from his heart. Clara, you look beautiful. Clara turned sharply. She did not look happy. She looked caught. Daniel looked at the dress again. Who bought it? Clara's eyes hardened. I bought it. With what money? So now I cannot buy dress again, she snapped. Daniel raised both hands. That is not what I mean. I only asked. Clara removed the necklace quickly and put it inside her bag. Then she said something Daniel never forgot. Your problem is that you think small. Poverty has entered your blood. Daniel stood still. Those words were worse than a slap. Before he could answer, Samuel ran in and hugged Clara's leg. Mommy, you are fine. Clara pulled her dress away. Don't stain me, she said. Samuel stepped back. The plastic car slipped from Daniel's hand and hit the floor. That sound stayed in the room longer than it should have. That night, Daniel waited until Samuel slept. Then he sat beside Clara. He did not shout. He did not accuse her. His voice was soft because love was still begging inside him. My wife, he said, talk to me. Something is changing. You hide your calls. You avoid me outside. You push Samuel away. You look at this room like it is a curse. Did I offend you? Clara stared at the wall. She said nothing for a long time. Daniel waited. His heart beat slowly. At last, Clara stood up and picked up her bag. Love does not pay bills, she said. Daniel looked at her. Where are you going? She did not answer. Daniel followed her to the door. Clara, please. Are we in trouble? Clara turned to him slowly. The woman Daniel married was still standing there, but her eyes had already left the marriage. Then she said, by next week, you will understand. Before Daniel could ask what that meant, a black car stopped outside the compound. It was too clean for their street, too shiny for their poverty. The back door opened, and Richard stepped out in dark glasses, smiling like he had come to collect something he had already paid for. He looked at Clara and said, my queen, are you ready? Daniel's mouth went dry. Samuel woke up inside the room and called, Daddy? But Daniel could not answer, because Clara walked past him, entered Richard's car, and left Daniel standing in the doorway with only one question burning in his chest. What exactly was going to happen next week? Daniel did not sleep that night. He sat by the door until morning, staring at the place where Richard's black car had stopped. Even after the car had gone, Daniel kept hearing the sound of its engine in his head. It was like the sound had entered his chest and refused to leave. Samuel sat beside him for a while, rubbing his sleepy eyes. Daddy, Samuel whispered, where did mommy go? Daniel looked at his son. That question was small, but it carried a heavy pain. He wanted to lie. He wanted to say, mommy will soon come back. He wanted to say, everything is fine. But Daniel knew children could feel truth, even when they did not understand it. So he touched Samuel's head gently and said, Mommy went out. Samuel frowned. With that man, Daniel swallowed. Yes. Samuel looked toward the road. Will she come back? Daniel forced a smile. She will. But inside his heart, Daniel was no longer sure. By morning, Clara returned. She came down from a taxi, not Richard's black car. She held a small nylon bag in her hand. Her face looked calm, too calm for a woman who had left her husband in the dark with no answer. Daniel stood up. Samuel ran toward her first. Mommy! Clara looked tired, but she did not bend down to hug him. She only touched his head lightly and walked inside. That small touch hurt Daniel more than shouting would have. Daniel followed her. Clara, he said, we need to talk. She dropped her bag on the mattress. I am tired. You were gone all night. I told you I was tired. Daniel stared at her. Being tired does not explain entering another man's car at night. Clara turned to him slowly. Daniel, don't start. Don't start what? Daniel asked. Don't start asking why my wife left with a strange man. Don't start asking why you said next week I would understand. Don't start asking what is happening to my own marriage. Samuel stood near the wall, holding his small plastic car. Clara saw him and lowered her voice. Send the boy outside. Daniel looked at Samuel. Go and play with Tunde in the compound. Samuel did not move. Daddy, did I do something wrong? Daniel's heart broke a little. No, my son, you did nothing wrong. Samuel walked out slowly, but he stayed close to the door. Daniel knew he was listening, because children listen when adults think they are hidden. Daniel turned back to Clara. Now talk to me. Clara sat down. She removed her earrings and placed them beside her bag. For a moment, she looked like the old Clara, the young woman Daniel met years ago at a bus stop in Oshodi, the woman whose slippers broke in the rain. The woman Daniel carried across dirty water while strangers laughed. The woman who later told him, "You may not have money now, Daniel, but your heart is rich." That memory entered Daniel like a knife. Because the woman sitting before him now did not look at his heart anymore. She looked at his empty pockets. Clara sighed. Daniel, I cannot continue living like this. Daniel stayed quiet. Clara pointed around the room. This place, this heat, this shame. Every month, rent becomes a battle. Every day, food is a problem. Samuel needs a better school. I need a better life. I am tired of wearing cheap clothes and smiling like suffering is normal. Daniel nodded slowly. I know life is hard, he said, but I am trying. Clara laughed once. It was a dry laugh. Trying? She asked. Daniel, how many years will you keep trying? The words landed heavily. Daniel looked down at his hands. Those hands had carried loads, mixed cement, pushed carts, cleaned gutters, and lifted things heavier than his own body. Those hands had fed Clara when she was sick. Those hands had held Samuel the night he had fever and cried till morning. But Clara saw only failure. I am not lazy, Daniel said quietly. I did not say you are lazy, Clara replied. I said you are poor. The room became silent. Outside, Samuel's plastic car scraped against the concrete. He was pretending to play, but Daniel knew the boy had heard. Daniel breathed in slowly. Is that why you are seeing that man? Clara looked away. Daniel stepped closer. Who is he? Clara did not answer. Clara, who is Richard? This time, her face changed. So Daniel knew. He knew the name had struck something. How do you know his name? Clara asked. Daniel's mouth tightened. He called you his queen in front of me. Clara stood up. Richard is a businessman, a serious man, a man who knows what he wants. And what does he want from my wife? Clara looked Daniel straight in the eyes. For 1 second, Daniel hoped she would cry. He hoped she would fall into his arms and say she was confused. He hoped she would say Richard meant nothing. But Clara did not cry. She said, he wants to marry me. Daniel stared at her. The room seemed to move under his feet. Marry you, he whispered. Clara, you are already married. Clara folded her arms. To you. Daniel flinched as if she had slapped him. Yes, he said. To me, before God, before our families, before everybody. Clara shook her head. That marriage has brought me nothing. Daniel stepped back. He looked at the door. He looked at the cracked wall. He looked at the small stove. He looked at the faded curtain. Clara once chose with joy when they first moved in. Everything around him suddenly looked like evidence in a case against him. Nothing? Daniel asked. Clara's lips pressed together. Daniel's voice broke. I gave you everything I had. And what did you have? Clara asked. That question destroyed the little strength Daniel had left. He could not answer. Because in truth, Daniel did not have much. He did not have a house. He did not have land. He did not have a car. He did not have money stacked in banks. But he had loyalty. He had love. He had the kind of heart that would rather starve than watch his wife and child go hungry. But that kind of wet did not shine on Clara's neck. It did not buy red dresses. It did not bring respect from rich people. Daniel sat down slowly. When did you become like this? He asked. Clara looked at him for a long moment. Maybe I was always like this, she said. Maybe poverty only made me hide it. Daniel closed his eyes. That was when Samuel entered. He was holding his plastic car against his chest. Mommy, he said softly. Are you going to marry that uncle? Clara turned sharply. Daniel stood up. Samuel, go outside. But Samuel did not move. His eyes were fixed on Clara. Mommy, if you marry him, will I come too? Clara froze. For the first time that morning, she looked uncomfortable. Daniel waited. He wanted her to say, "Of course, my son." He wanted her to say, "No matter what happens, you are my child." He wanted one small sign that Clara's heart had not turned completely to stone. But Clara looked at Samuel's old shirt, his dusty knees, his cheap plastic car, and then she looked away. "Samuel," she said, "go and meet your father." Samuel blinked. "But you are my mommy." Clara picked up her bag. "Go and meet your father," she repeated. Samuel's face changed. Daniel moved quickly and pulled the boy close to him. "Enough," Daniel said. Clara looked at him. "You see, this is the problem. You want to tie me down with guilt." "Guilt?" Daniel asked. "He is your son. He is your son too." Daniel stared at her. Something in his chest went cold. Not angry. Cold. Because he heard what Clara did not say clearly. She was already preparing to leave not only him, but Samuel too. Later that day, Clara packed some clothes. Not many. Just the fine ones. She left the old wrappers Daniel had bought for her. She left the cheap slippers. She left the cooking apron. She left the clothes that carried memories of struggle. But she took the red dress. She took the necklace. She took the new handbag. Daniel watched her quietly. Samuel sat on the mattress, hugging his plastic car, saying nothing. When Clara zipped her bag, Daniel asked, "So this is it?" Clara did not look at him. "I need time." Daniel smiled sadly. "Time for what?" "To think." "No," Daniel said. "You need time to enjoy what Richard is giving you before deciding how to throw us away." Clara turned. "Don't make me look wicked." Daniel's eyes filled with tears, then stopped acting like one. For a moment, silence covered them. Then Clara carried her bag and walked to the door. Samuel ran after her. "Mommy, please don't go." Clara stopped, but she did not turn. Samuel held the edge of her dress. "I will be good," he said. "I will not stain your clothes again. I will not disturb you. Please stay." Daniel looked away because he could not bear it. Clara pulled the dress from Samuel's hand. "Samuel, stop embarrassing me." That word entered Daniel's bones. Embarrassing. Her own child was now an embarrassment. Clara walked out. And that time, Richard's black car was waiting openly in front of the compound. Neighbors were looking. Of course, they were looking. In a Nigerian compound, even a falling spoon could become news before evening. Mama Titi stood near her shop, pretending to arrange bottles of minerals. Two young men by the gate whispered and laughed. A woman upstairs held her baby and watched like she was watching a film. Daniel felt their eyes on his skin. Richard came out of the car. He wore a cream kaftan and dark glasses. His shoes shone like they had never touched dust. He looked at Daniel from head to toe. Then he smiled. Not a normal smile. A smile that said, "I have won." "Daniel, right?" Richard asked. Daniel did not answer. Richard chuckled. "Clara told me about you." Daniel looked at Clara. She avoided his eyes. Richard stepped closer and lowered his voice, but not low enough. He wanted people to hear. "Don't worry. I'll take good care of her. Some women are not built for suffering." The neighbors murmured. Daniel's fist tightened. But Samuel was standing beside him, so Daniel did not fight. He only said, "Clara is my wife." Richard laughed. "Your wife?" He said, "A wife is not a prison. If you cannot take care of treasure, someone else will." Daniel felt heat rise in his face. Clara entered the car. Samuel ran again. "Mommy." Richard blocked him gently with one hand. "Small boy, stay with your father." Samuel looked up at him with fear. Daniel pulled Samuel back. Richard entered the car, and before closing the door, he said one final thing. "Next week Saturday, come and see what a real man gives a woman." The car drove away. Dust rose behind it. Samuel coughed. Daniel stood in that dust with his son beside him, and all the neighbors watching. Nobody came to comfort him. Not one person. By evening, the whole street knew. Some people said Clara was wrong. Some said Daniel should have worked harder. Some said poverty was a disease that could chase any woman away. Some laughed. The laughter was the worst part. Daniel heard it when he went to buy Gary. He heard it when he fetched water. He heard it when he passed the barbing salon. Now Daniel be that. His wife, Dawn, follow rich man. Poor man love no day last. Each word followed him home. But Daniel still hoped Clara would return. That is the thing about a broken heart. It can still wait at the door for the person who broke it. For 6 days, Daniel cared for Samuel alone. He bathed him. He cooked watery pap. He walked him to school. He came back and walked till his body shook. At night, Samuel would ask, "Daddy, when is mommy coming?" Daniel would say soon. But by Friday evening, Daniel saw something pasted on the electric pole near the junction. A wedding invitation. His eyes moved slowly over the words. Richard Adewale and Clara Benson invite you to celebrate their union Saturday in the same neighborhood with music, food, asoebi. Daniel's hands began to shake. Samuel stood beside him and sounded out the letters slowly. "Mommy's name is there," the boy said. Daniel put the paper down. His chest was burning. He went straight to Mama Titi. "Who put this here?" Daniel asked. Mama Titi looked away. "Daniel, calm down. Who put it here?" She sighed. "Richard's boys came this afternoon. They shared it everywhere." Daniel looked around. Everywhere. On walls, on poles, on shop doors, on compound gates. Clara was not living quietly. She was turning his shame into a celebration. Daniel walked home like a man carrying his own funeral. That night, he did not eat. Samuel sat beside him. "Daddy, is mommy doing wedding?" Daniel could not lie anymore. His eyes filled with tears. "Yes, Samuel, but she is already your wife." Daniel covered his face. Samuel moved closer. "Daddy, don't cry." That was the first time Daniel cried in front of his son. Not loud, not with shouting, just quiet tears slipping through his fingers. Samuel touched his father's knee and whispered, "When I grow up, I will not let anybody make you cry again." Daniel looked at his son. The boy's eyes were wet, but his voice was steady. Daniel pulled Samuel into his arms. He did not know that those words would become the seed of everything that happened years later. The next morning, drums started before noon. The wedding compound was only 2 streets away. Music shook the air. Women in matching clothes walked past Daniel's door, laughing and fixing their hair ties. Men sprayed perfume and joked loudly. Cars filled the roadside. Children ran toward the party because where there was rice and music, children always gathered. Daniel tried to stay inside. He really tried. But every beat of the drum sounded like Clara calling the whole world to witness his defeat. Then someone knocked. It was a young boy holding an envelope. "Uncle Daniel," the boy said, "Auntie Clara said I should give you this." Daniel opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a wedding invitation, and on the back, Clara had written only one sentence: "Come and see the life I deserved." Daniel read it once. Then again, Samuel looked up at him. "Daddy, what did mommy write?" Daniel folded the card. He stood up slowly. He wore the same faded blue shirt Clara had become ashamed of. He took Samuel's hand, and together, father and son walked toward the music that was waiting to finish breaking them. When they reached the wedding compound, Daniel saw Clara on the decorated chair, shining beside Richard. The crowd turned. Some people whispered, some laughed. Clara saw Daniel. Richard saw Daniel. Samuel saw his mother and smiled through tears, thinking maybe this was still a mistake. Then, Clara stood up, took the microphone from the announcer, and looked straight at Daniel in front of everyone. "Please," she said coldly, "remove that poor man and his child from my wedding before they spoil my day." And the whole compound went silent. For a moment, nobody moved. Even the drummer stopped. Daniel stood at the entrance of the wedding compound, holding Samuel's small hand, while Clara's words hung in the air like smoke from a burning house. "Remove that poor man and his child." That poor man. His child. Not my husband. Not my son. Daniel looked at Clara, waiting for her face to change, waiting for shame to touch her, waiting for one small sign that she knew what she had just done. But Clara did not look sorry. She lifted her chin like a queen who had given an order. Richard leaned back in his decorated chair and smiled. The guests looked from Clara to Daniel, from Daniel to Samuel, waiting to see what the poor man would do. Some people were shocked, some were enjoying it, some had their phones raised, ready to record another person's pain like it was entertainment. Samuel did not understand everything, but he understood enough. He looked at Clara and whispered, "Mommy?" That one word broke Daniel more than Clara's insult. Samuel took one small step forward. "Mommy, it is me." Clara's eyes flashed with anger, not love. "Did you not hear me?" she said. "I said remove them." Daniel bent down and held Samuel's shoulders. "Samuel," he whispered, "stay with me." But Samuel shook his head. "No, Daddy, let me talk to Mommy." Before Daniel could stop him, Samuel pulled free and ran toward Clara. The whole compound watched the small boy run across the open space. His old sandals slapped the ground, his shirt was faded, his face was wet with tears, but his eyes were full of hope. Children can be rejected 100 times and still run back to love. Samuel reached Clara and stretched out both hands. "Mommy, please come home," he cried. "Daddy is crying. I will be good. I will not disturb you. Please don't marry this uncle." A woman in the crowd covered her mouth. Another guest looked down. Even the announcer holding the microphone seemed frozen. For 1 second, Clara's face shook. Just 1 second. Daniel saw it. Maybe the old Clara was still somewhere inside her. Maybe motherhood had not completely died. Maybe the sound of her child begging would pull her back from the edge. Then Richard leaned toward her and whispered something Daniel could not hear. Clara's face hardened again. She looked down at Samuel, her own son, and said, "Go back to your father." Samuel's hands dropped. "But you are my mother." Clara stood up, careful not to let Samuel touch her white dress. "I am starting a new life," she said. "I cannot carry old shame into it." Samuel blinked slowly. "Am I shame?" Daniel's breath caught. The whole compound heard the question. "Am I shame?" Clara did not answer fast enough. That silence answered for her. Samuel stepped back as if someone had pushed him, even though nobody had touched him. Daniel walked forward quickly and picked him up. "Enough," Daniel said. His voice was low, but everyone heard the pain inside it. Richard stood up. "Daniel, don't cause trouble here," he said. "This is a joyful day." Daniel looked at him. "A joyful day?" Daniel asked. "You call this joy?" Richard smiled. "For Clara, yes." Clara looked away. Daniel turned to the crowd. He did not shout, he did not beg again. Something inside him had broken past begging. "You all know me," Daniel said. "You know I am not rich. You know my shirt is old. You know I work with my hands. But you also know I did not abandon this woman. I did not beat her. I did not starve her on purpose. I did not throw away my son." People shifted in their seats. Daniel looked back at Clara. "If poverty is my crime, then yes, I am guilty." But Samuel did not choose poverty. Samuel did not choose me. Samuel did not choose this pain. Samuel buried his face in Daniel's neck. Daniel's eyes filled with tears, but he refused to let them fall. He looked at Clara one last time. "Clara, you can reject me, but today, in front of everybody, you rejected your own child." Clara's lips trembled. Richard clapped slowly. One clap, then another. "Wonderful speech," Richard said. "Now, leave." Two of Richard's men started moving toward Daniel. Daniel held Samuel tighter. He looked at Clara, waiting for her to stop them. She did not. That was the answer Daniel needed. He turned and walked away. No fight, no shouting, no curse. Just a poor father carrying a rejected son out of the wedding compound while the same people who came to dance watched in silence. But as Daniel reached the gate, Samuel lifted his head and looked back. His eyes met Clara's eyes. Samuel did not cry anymore. That was what frightened Daniel. The crying had stopped too quickly. Samuel looked at his mother with a calmness no 6-year-old child should have. Then he whispered, "Daddy, one day she will know my name." Daniel did not understand how deep those words were. Not yet. He only carried his son home. Behind them, the music started again, but it sounded different now. It no longer sounded like celebration, it sounded like noise, trying to cover shame. That night, Daniel washed Samuel's face with warm water. Samuel did not speak. Daniel cooked gari and groundnut, but Samuel only touched it with his spoon. Eat small, Daniel said gently. Samuel looked at him. Daddy, why did mommy push me away? Daniel sat beside him. There are questions a father cannot answer without breaking his child twice. So Daniel said, sometimes adults make wrong choices. Samuel looked down. Did I do something wrong? No, Daniel said quickly. Never. You are not wrong. You are my son. You are my joy. Samuel's eyes filled again. Then, why did she not want me? Daniel pulled him close and held him for a long time. Daniel wanted to tell him that Clara was confused, that money had blinded her, that one day she would regret it. But Daniel could not promise what he did not know. So he said only one thing. As long as I am alive, Samuel, you will never beg anyone to love you. From that day, Daniel became father and mother. Clara did not return. Richard moved her into a fine house in Lekki. People said she wore better clothes now. People said she entered big cars. People said she ate in restaurants where one plate could feed Daniel and Samuel for a week. Daniel heard everything. He did not answer anyone. He woke before sunrise. He carried loads. He washed cars. He helped builders mix cement. He pushed wheelbarrows. If someone needed a man for dirty work, Daniel was there. Every coin had a name. Rent, food, Samuel's school, exercise books, medicine, transport. Daniel did not buy new clothes. He patched the old ones. He drank water when he was hungry. He smiled at Samuel, even when his body was shaking from tiredness. But Samuel was watching. Children watch more than adults know. Samuel watched his father remove meat from his own plate and put it in Samuel's food. Samuel watched Daniel pretend he was not hungry. Samuel watched Daniel cough at night and cover his mouth with a cloth. Samuel watched Daniel come home with swollen hands and still ask, my son, did you read today? And slowly, the rejected boy became serious. Too serious for his age. When other children played after school, Samuel read under a street light. When classmates laughed at his torn bag, Samuel held it tighter and kept walking. When teachers asked why he always stayed behind to borrow books, Samuel said, I need to become someone. Years passed like that. Hard years. Clara never sent money. Clara never visited. On Samuel's 10th birthday, Daniel borrowed small money and bought him a second-hand school bag. Samuel hugged it like gold. That evening, Samuel asked, Daddy, do you hate mommy? Daniel was quiet for a long time. Then he said, No. Samuel frowned. Why? Daniel looked at the boy. Because hate is heavy, and I am already carrying enough. Samuel never forgot that. But forgiveness did not remove memory. Memory stayed. Memory sat beside Samuel when he studied with hunger in his stomach. Memory walked with him when rich children mocked his shoes. Memory slept beside him when Daniel coughed all night and said he was fine. By the time Samuel turned 18, he had become the best student in his school. A scholarship took him to university. Daniel cried the day Samuel left, but he hid it with laughter. My son, Daniel said, go and make your life better than mine. Samuel held his father's hands. No, Daddy, he said. I will make your life better too. University was not easy. Samuel worked at night. He cleaned offices. He typed assignments for other students. He slept little. He ate cheap food. But his mind was sharp. He studied business, finance, and technology. He learned how rich men built companies. He learned how proud men hid debts. He learned how fake success could shine outside while rotting inside. And every time he felt tired, he remembered one picture, Clara in a white dress, Richard smiling, Daniel standing with shame on his face, and a 6-year-old boy asking, am I shame? That question became fire inside Samuel. Years later, Samuel returned to Lagos, but he did not return as the boy with torn sandals. He returned in a quiet black car, wearing a simple suit, with people opening doors for him. His name was now spoken in rooms where money moved like water. Samuel Adeyemi, young investor, business strategist, the man who saved dying companies and took control of weak ones. Nobody knew his full story. Nobody knew he was the child Clara rejected. And that was the power Samuel carried. Not noise, not anger, patience. One morning, Samuel sat in a tall office building on Victoria Island, looking at a file on his desk. The file carried Richard's company name, a company drowning in debt, lies, and stolen deals. Samuel opened the first page, then the second, then the third. His assistant said, "Sir, Richard Adewale is begging for a private meeting. He says only you can save him." Samuel leaned back slowly. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he looked at the photo attached to the file. Richard, older now, still proud. Beside him stood Clara, still beautiful, but her smile was tired. Samuel touched the edge of the photo. His face did not change, but his eyes became cold. "Tell Richard," Samuel said. "I will meet him." His assistant nodded. Samuel closed the file gently. Then he whispered to himself, "Now, let us see if she remembers the poor man's child." Richard arrived at Samuel's office 2 days later. He did not come alone. Clara came with him. Samuel watched them through the glass wall before they entered. Richard still dressed like a man who wanted the world to fear his money. His agbada was expensive. His shoes were polished. His watch was heavy. But Samuel saw what many people did not see. Richard's shoulders were tense. His smile was forced. His eyes moved too much. A man who was truly powerful did not need to look around every second to check if people still respected him. Clara stood beside Richard, wearing a fine green dress and gold jewelry. She still looked beautiful, but time had touched her face. Her eyes looked tired. Her smile looked practiced. She looked like a woman who had lived inside a rich house but had not slept in peace for many years. Samuel felt nothing at first. That surprised him. He had imagined this day for years. He had imagined anger. He had imagined shouting. He had imagined asking Clara if she remembered pushing him away in front of strangers. But now that Clara was standing outside his office, Samuel only felt cold calm. His assistant opened the door. "Mr. Adewale and Mrs. Adewale are here, sir." Samuel looked up. "Let them in." Richard entered first, smiling widely. "Mr. Samuel," Richard said, stretching out his hand. "At last, I meet the young genius everybody is talking about." Samuel stood and shook his hand. Richard's palm was soft. Samuel's grip was calm. Clara looked at Samuel's face, then looked away quickly. She did not recognize him. Why would she? The last time she really looked at him, he was a crying 6-year-old boy in old sandals. Now he was a grown man in a clean suit, sitting behind a desk large enough to feed many families. Samuel pointed to the chairs. "Please sit." Richard sat down fast. Clara sat beside him, holding her handbag tightly. Samuel opened the file on his desk. "I have gone through your company records," he said. Richard laughed nervously. "Good. Then you know this is a strong company with small cash flow issues." Samuel looked at him. "Small?" Richard's smile weakened. Samuel turned one page. "Your company owes 3 banks. You used the same property as collateral twice. You collected money from investors for projects that were never completed. You moved company funds into private accounts. You also signed contracts using fake supplier names." The room became quiet. Clara turned slowly toward Richard. "Richard?" Richard lifted his hand. "Clara, please. Business language can sound worse than it is." Samuel looked at Clara. For the first time, their eyes met properly. Something passed across Clara's face. Not recognition. Not yet. But discomfort. Maybe it was Samuel's eyes. Maybe somewhere deep inside her, a memory moved. Maybe a mother's heart, no matter how buried, heard a sound from the past. Samuel looked back at the file. "Mr. Richard, I am not here for stories. I am here for facts." Richard leaned forward. "Mr. Samuel, I respect you. That is why I came. I need investment. I need someone with your name to stand with my company. Once people hear you are involved, they will trust us again." Samuel nodded slowly. And why should I trust you? Richard smiled again, but sweat had formed near his temple. Because I am a man of vision. Samuel looked at him for a long second. A man of vision does not build on stolen ground. Richard's smile disappeared. Clara's fingers tightened around her bag. Samuel pulled out another document. This is the list of workers you refused to pay for 8 months. Richard shifted. This is the list of widows who invested their savings in your housing project. Clara looked at the paper. Samuel placed another one down. And this is the record of land you sold to 3 different buyers. Richard stood up halfway. Listen, young man. Samuel raised one hand. Richard stopped. That small movement showed who had power in the room. Samuel's voice stayed low. You came here because every bank has closed its door. Your partners are running. Your company account is frozen. Your name is already on the desk of people who can make your life very difficult. Clara's face went pale. Richard, is this true? Richard snapped. Clara, keep quiet. Samuel looked at him sharply. Do not speak to her like that in my office. Richard turned to him, shocked. Samuel leaned back. You are not in your wedding compound now. The sentence slipped out quietly, but it landed hard. Clara froze. Her eyes moved slowly back to Samuel. What did you say? She whispered. Samuel did not answer. Not yet. Richard was too worried about himself to notice. Mr. Samuel, Richard said, changing his tone. Please, let us talk like men. I can give you shares. I can give you control for some time. Just put money in. Save the company first. Samuel closed the file. I will not save lies. Richard's face hardened. Then why did you call us here? Samuel pressed a button on his desk. The screen on the wall came on. Documents appeared. Bank transfers. Land papers. Signed agreements. Fake company names. Richard stood up fully now. What is this? Samuel said the truth. Clara covered her mouth. Samuel continued. I already bought your company's largest debt from the bank. I also purchased the rights from your unpaid investors. As of this morning, I control the part of your company you were trying to hide. Richard stared at him. You did what? Samuel's voice remained calm. I did legally what you spent years doing with fraud. Richard's hands shook. You cannot do this to me. Samuel looked at him. I already did. Clara stood slowly. Her eyes were not on the screen anymore. They were on Samuel. Who are you? She asked. Samuel turned to her. For the first time, he allowed the past to show in his face. Look well, he said. Clara stared at him. Samuel did not blink. The room became so quiet that even the air seemed to stop moving. Then Samuel said, You once told me not to touch your wedding dress. Clara's lips parted. Her handbag slipped from her hand and fell to the floor. Samuel stood. You once pushed me away in front of people and said you did not want to be dragged down by a poor man's child. Clara stepped back. No, she whispered. Samuel's eyes stayed fixed on her. Yes. Clara's hand went to her chest. Samuel? Richard turned sharply. What? Samuel looked at Richard. The poor man's child. Richard's face changed. For the first time since Samuel met him, Richard looked afraid in a way money could not hide. Clara began to cry. Not the pretty kind of crying people do when they still care about how they look. This one broke her face. Samuel, she whispered again. My son. Samuel's expression did not soften. Do not call me that, because you need help now. Clara covered her mouth and shook her head. I did not know. I did not know it was you. Samuel nodded. That is the point. Richard looked from Clara to Samuel. So this is revenge? He asked angrily. You planned this because of old family matters. Samuel turned to him. No, your crimes brought you here. My memory only made sure I did not look away. Richard tried to laugh. This will not stand. I have friends. Samuel picked up another paper. Some of them are already giving statements. Richard stopped laughing. Samuel's assistant entered quietly and placed a phone on the desk. Sir, they are downstairs. Samuel nodded. Let them wait. Clara wiped her face with shaking hands. Who is downstairs? Samuel did not answer her at first. He walked to the window and looked down at Lagos, moving far below. cars, buses, people, noise, money, poverty, pride. The same city that once watched Daniel fall was now watching Samuel rise. Then Samuel said, "The authorities are downstairs for Richard." Richard shouted, "You fool!" Samuel turned calmly. "No, I was a fool when I was 6 and thought my mother would choose me," Clara sobbed. Richard moved toward the door, but two security men entered and blocked him. Samuel looked at Richard with no pity. "You humiliated my father. You took what was not yours. You built your house with lies. Now everything you hid will stand in the open." Richard pointed at Clara. "She came willingly. She wanted money. She wanted a better life." Clara looked at him as if he had slapped her. Richard continued, desperate now. "Do not look at me like that, Clara. You left them before I took you. You called them shame. You said the boy would tie you to poverty." Clara cried harder. Samuel did not move. Every word Richard spoke was a knife, but Samuel had learnt long ago how to bleed quietly. Security took Richard out. His proud voice echoed down the hallway until it faded. Then only Samuel and Clara remained in the office. Clara stood before him like a woman whose whole life had collapsed in 1 hour. "Samuel," she said, "please listen to me." Samuel sat down. "I listened when I was 6. You said enough." Clara shook her head. "I was foolish. I was blind. I thought money would give me peace." "Did it?" Clara could not answer. Samuel opened a drawer and brought out an old plastic car. It was faded now. One wheel was missing. Clara stared at it. Samuel placed it on the desk. "My father kept this," he said. "The day you left, he bought it for me. It fell from his hand when you told me not to stain your dress." Clara covered her face. Samuel's voice stayed steady, but his eyes shone. "Do you know what he did after you left? He raised me, alone. He worked until his hands cracked. He gave me food and drank water. He patched his clothes and paid my school fees. He never allowed me to hate you, even when he had every reason to." Clara dropped to her knees. "I am sorry." Samuel looked at her. For years, he had wanted those words. But now that they came, they felt too late to heal the child who needed them. "I know," he said. Clara looked up quickly, hope entering her eyes. But Samuel continued, "Being sorry is not the same as repairing what you destroyed." Clara's hope broke. "Can I see your father?" she asked. Samuel was quiet. Then he pressed a button. The office door opened. Daniel walked in slowly. He was older now. His hair had turned grey. His body was thinner. His steps were weaker, but his eyes were still gentle. Clara saw him and cried out, "Daniel." Daniel stopped near Samuel. For a moment, Clara could not stand. She remained on her knees, looking at the man she once called useless. Daniel looked at her without anger. That made it worse. Anger would have been easier. But Daniel's quiet face showed that he had suffered, survived, and moved beyond the place where her pride could reach him. Clara crawled toward him slightly. "Daniel, forgive me. Please. I was wicked. I destroyed our home. I rejected my own child. I have carried it for years. I have had no peace." Daniel looked down at her. Then he looked at Samuel. Samuel said nothing. This was Daniel's moment. Daniel breathed slowly. "Clara," he said, "I forgave you many years ago." Clara began to weep louder. "But forgiveness does not mean you can return to what you threw away," Daniel continued. "You left a wound. God helped us live with it. But the scar is still there." Clara bowed her head. Samuel stood beside his father. Daniel placed one hand on Samuel's shoulder. "You called me useless," Daniel said softly. "But this boy you rejected became my strength. Every day I wanted to give up, I looked at him and stood again." Clara looked at Samuel through tears. "My son, please." Samuel shook his head. "I am Daniel's son," he said. "That is the name I am proud of." Those words filled the room. Clara had chased wealth and lost the only treasure that would have stood by her without price. In the weeks that followed, Richard's company collapsed fully. His crimes became public. Properties were seized. Partners disappeared. People who once praised him denied him. The same rich friends who had danced at his wedding refused to answer his calls. Clara lost the mansion. She lost the cars. She lost the parties. She lost the title of rich man's wife. But the worst thing she lost was control. She could no longer control the story. Everyone now knew the truth. They knew Daniel was not the useless man Clara called him. They knew Daniel was the father who raised Samuel with nothing but love and sacrifice. They knew Samuel, the powerful investor, was the same rejected child from that shameful wedding. Samuel did not need to insult Clara. He did not need to shout. He simply honored Daniel in front of the same kind of people who once laughed at him. At a business award dinner in Lagos, Samuel stood on stage with Daniel beside him. Cameras flashed. Wealthy men clapped. Important women smiled. But Samuel did not look proud because of the lights. He looked proud because Daniel was standing there. Samuel held the microphone and said, "People call me successful, but the real great man is beside me. My father had no riches when I was a child, but he gave me discipline, love, and courage. Many people saw his poverty. I saw his sacrifice." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Samuel continued, "This man was once mocked for having nothing, but he raised me with everything that mattered." The hall stood and clapped. Daniel covered his face. This time, he did not cry from shame. He cried because honor had finally found him. Clara watched the video later on a small phone in a rented room. She sat on a thin mattress, wearing a simple wrapper, the kind of life she once ran from. Her jewelry was gone. Her rich friends were gone. Her pride had nowhere left to sit. On the screen, Daniel stood tall beside Samuel. Clara touched Samuel's face on the phone. "My son," she whispered. But the room gave her no answer. Years before, a little boy had reached for her and she stepped back. Now she was the one reaching through a screen, and the son she rejected was too far away to touch. Samuel gave Daniel a peaceful home outside the noise of the city. There was a garden, clean air, good food, and a soft chair where Daniel liked to sit in the evenings. Sometimes Daniel would still cough. Sometimes his body still remembered years of hard work. But his heart was no longer carrying shame. One evening, Daniel and Samuel sat outside as the sun went down. Daniel looked at his son and said, "Samuel, I hope revenge did not make your heart hard." Samuel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "No, Daddy, I did not do it to destroy her. I did it so the world would know you were never useless." Daniel smiled. "That is enough for me." Samuel looked at the sky. For the first time in many years, the memory of Clara's wedding did not burn him the same way. It was still there, but it no longer owned him. Because the poor man had been honored. The rejected child had risen. And Clara, who once threw them away to chase a rich man's name, was left with the painful truth that no gold, no mansion, and no wedding crowd could ever replace the family she destroyed with her own hands.